Welcome back to History Uncovered. I'm Alex, your host, ready to guide you through another chapter of historical intrigue.
And I'm Jordan. In our last episode, we covered the disastrous beginnings of Operation Zapata, better known as the Bay of Pigs invasion. Today, we'll delve deeper into the events leading up to the invasion and its aftermath.
Exactly, Jordan. We'll explore the build-up to the invasion, the cultural dynamics of the invaders, and the catastrophic fallout that followed. Let's jump right in.
On April 10, 1961, San Romain addressed his troops before they left their bases, many singing songs, including Cuba's national anthem. It was a moment of unity and hope.
Oliva described it as a touching spectacle, with music and chants of vivas echoing through the air. However, the reality of their mission would soon shatter this camaraderie.
On April 13th, the Miami Herald reported that the Exile force was on the move. They boarded aged cargo vessels in Puerto Cabezas, Nicaragua, but faced delays due to rickety equipment.
Despite the challenges, they were issued identification scarves based on the color-coded beaches they were assigned to assault. The atmosphere was charged with anticipation.
As they prepared to set sail, Nicaragua's dictator, Luis Somoza, made a theatrical farewell, jokingly asking for a piece of Castro's beard. But the reality of their situation was grim.
On April 15th, 8 B-26 bombers attacked Cuban airfields, but their impact was minimal. CIA officers falsely assured San Romain that the attacks had been successful.
At the United Nations, Cuba's foreign minister condemned the attacks, while U.S. Ambassador Adlai Stevenson denied any American involvement, despite the CIA's clear orchestration.
This deception only fueled Castro's resolve, uniting the Cuban people against the perceived American aggression. The bombings galvanized support for the revolution.
Young Cubans like Jose Ramon Linares Ferrara felt a surge of nationalism. He recalled how the bombings electrified support for the revolution.
Castro capitalized on this sentiment, denouncing the attacks and rallying the populace. Crowds shouted in support of him and the Soviet Union, viewing the U.S. as the aggressor.
On the night of April 16th, Brigade 2506's paratroopers were given a hearty meal before boarding transports for their drops. However, many weapons fell into swamps, hampering their efforts.
The paratroopers were meant to block Cuban reinforcements, but most quickly became prisoners. Their mission was already falling apart before the main invasion even began.
On April 17th, as the amphibious landings commenced, rebel planes resumed their attacks, causing casualties among the militia. But the Cuban defenders were well prepared.
By 1:20 p.m., the Cuban Revolutionary Council issued a bulletin claiming that peasants and militia were joining the fight to defend their homeland.
Despite the heroic narratives from both sides, the reality was chaotic. The exiles displayed poor discipline, wasting ammunition and failing to effectively coordinate.
San Romain and his commanders were frantic, demanding supplies and support, but communication failures and the destruction of their ships sealed their fate.
Fidel Castro himself arrived to take command of the battle, bringing reinforcements and heavy artillery. The invaders were quickly outnumbered and outgunned.
On April 19th, as the situation worsened, U.S. naval ships moved closer, but any hope of intervention was dashed when they came under fire from Castro's forces.
By the end of the operation, many of the invaders surrendered after running out of ammunition. Castro chose not to execute them, likely seeing their value as propaganda.
By April 19th, all fighting had ceased in western Cuba, and the world watched as Castro's forces celebrated their victory, showcasing the wreckage left behind.
The invasion resulted in the deaths of 67 members of Brigade 2506, with many more captured. The Cuban government claimed to have lost 176 troops.
Additionally, 4 American airmen and 1 American paratrooper died during the operation. The fallout from this fiasco would have lasting implications for U.S.-Cuba relations.
Over the next 20 months, the U.S. would ransom 1,113 captured exiles for $53 million in food and medical supplies. Castro personally informed the brigadistas of their release.
His dismissive attitude toward their return highlighted the regime's confidence. Castro knew that the failed invasion had solidified his power and diminished domestic opposition.
Operation Zapata not only failed to achieve its goals, but also reinforced Castro's regime, leading to a period of increased repression and a strengthened resolve among the Cuban people.
Join us next time on History Uncovered as we explore the long-term consequences of the Bay of Pigs invasion and how it shaped the Cold War dynamics in the Americas. Thanks for listening.
Stay curious and keep exploring history with us.
See you next time.